What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Down Once More. It is time for a mini episode a week, and what you're getting today is a mini review of Waitress the Musical, the filmed version starring Sara Bareilles and Drew Gelling, which has been in theaters. It was originally going to be a run from December 7th to December 9th. They announced on the 8th that they were extending the run through December 13th. So Wednesday, the day this is releasing. So if you're interested in seeing it, go stop what you're doing now. Go see if there's showtimes for tonight, if you're listening to it to the day it drops. I know my theater here, we are getting like 2 showtimes a day, one in the afternoon and one at like 7 o'clock at night. But before I get into that, just a little bit of brief updates and news. First off, as we mentioned in the last episode, our schedule shifted. So Rayleigh and I's musical movie reviews are coming out next week, so December 20th. So you have time to get it in before Christmas. The holidays are here. We are doing Dr. Seuss's The Grinch the Musical, that filmed version, that was the live NBC show. That is available on Peacock, starring Matthew Morrison and Boo Boo Stewart. And then we are also discussing Team Star Kids' a VHS Christmas Carol Live, which is basically a retelling of A Christmas Carol in the 80s. It's got a little bit of the Star Kid flair, just with how they make it unique in their own thing. But don't be expected twisted levels of comedy. So the other update news item I have is it was announced this past week that Wicked Part 2 will officially have 2 new songs from Stephen Schwartz in it. So if you were unaware, Wicked is being turned into a movie adaptation of the Broadway musical, and it is being directed by John M. Chu, who did Crazy Rich Asians and In the Heights. It is starring, I can't think of Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, and then also Jonathan Bailey as... Dude, this is bad. I need to do more things, and I'm recording this early in the morning, so my brain is not fully awake. I have not had coffee yet. But Jonathan Bailey is playing Fiyero. That's his name. Oh boy, this could be a rough one. But they announced there's going to be 2 new original songs in part 2. I would expect we to get some new music in part 1. I haven't seen an official song count. I know that John M. Chu, when they decided to split the musical into 2 movies, said it was they wanted to give it more time to breathe and potentially bring in new music. So I'm not surprised by this. I'm glad Stephen Schwartz is still involved. He's still doing this. I'll be interested to see who they give the numbers to. I wouldn't be surprised if Bach gets a solo number, honestly. And so we'll see. We'll go from there. But that's really all I have for news. We're going to keep it short and sweet this week. So Waitress the Musical. I am going to give just kind of my brief thoughts and overview because I want to save some of it, because once this comes out, whether it's on Broadway HD or if hopefully, I'm hoping it becomes available to purchase digitally, like on Vudu, because it will definitely be one that Rayleigh and I talk about in more depth. So I kind of want to keep this somewhat brief and not necessarily vague, but I don't want to give too much away because I do want to revisit this. I want to see it again. I'm debating going to see it again in theaters because I really enjoyed this. Full disclosure, I had no idea what to expect going into this. I had not seen the 2007 movie with Kerry Russell and Nathan Fillion that this was based on. I had only heard She Used to Be Mine. So I was going into this expecting it to be kind of to be primarily a drama and the songs to be a little bit of a bummer. So the main premise of this is Jenna Hunterson. She is a waitress that works at Joe's Pie Shop or Joe's Pie Diner. I don't remember which one because it changes between the movie and how they refer to it throughout the musical. She finds out she is pregnant with her. She's married. It's her husband's baby. She is pregnant. Her husband is abusive, manipulative, and controlling. So she's less than thrilled about it. She ends up going, and her new OBGYN is Dr. Jim Pomatter, and sparks fly. And it's kind of the story throughout her pregnancy, trial she's going to. It's got romance, it has drama, and it had a surprising amount of comedy that I was not expecting. Now, I know I did this research after the fact. The 2007 movie is billed as a comedy. I did go and watch the movie after seeing the musical because I was curious. I don't know that I would build it a comedy. The musical is much more of a comedy than the movie was. And I enjoyed, now this could just be because I'm a musical guy, but I enjoyed the musical immensely more than the movie. The songs that added another layer of emotion and depth to it. Kerry Russell was fantastic. Let's just get that out of the way. And I love Nathan Fillion. But Sara Bareilles, being who wrote the songs for the musical, fun fact, if you didn't already know that, she sang her heart out, acted her heart out, performed her heart out. Sara Bareilles in this was fantastic. I loved it. And so, in my opinion, the musical's better, like substantially better. And right now, given the ratings on IMDb, more people agree with that as well. The musical is rated higher than the movie. I will also say I was so pleasantly surprised to see how packed the theater was. I went on Thursday night, so the first night that it came out, the 7 o'clock showtime. There were only, besides the first 2 rows in the theater that no one wants to sit in because they suck because you're like that the whole time, there were only 2 open seats throughout the entire rest of the theater. Now, it was on one of the smaller screens, but still, it was the most packed movie theater I have been in for something other than a Marvel movie. And so that was really awesome to see for a musical in one. I feel like Waitress is fairly well known, at least among musical fans, musical theater people, but I thought that was awesome to see, and I think it's a good sign, especially with them extending the run, that they're saying like, oh, there's more demand for this. People are showing out. People are seeing this. People are buying tickets. And I even looked for last night. I'm recording this on Sunday the 10th. So the night of the 9th at the showings there, and the 7 o'clock showing for that only had 1 seat available that wasn't in the first 2 rows. And so it's still going. And I think that's awesome to see. I really hope that's a promising sign that we could get more film Broadway versions like this in theaters. And hopefully, I said, when I talked about Titanic, it's on Broadway HD. And I think it's really cool that a platform like Broadway HD exists to kind of house the film Broadway versions and get people there. But I really wish they would release them on like video on demand so you could rent or so you could buy it and have it in your collection, or even put it out in physical media too. And so I want another way to purchase it because, like I've gone on rants on here before, I do not like Broadway HD's interface, and it's not the most user-friendly thing if you're wanting to stream on a smart TV. If you watch on anything other than your phone or a laptop, it's kind of a pain in the ass unless you add it as an add-on on Amazon Prime. So there's my plug with that. Now, Waitress itself. Like I said, the original movie came out in 2007. Broadway version came out in 2015 in Cambridge, Massachusetts, is where it kind of had its opening. It premiered, and then it premiered on Broadway in 2016. Now, said, I knew nothing about this besides She Used to Be Mine, and I was blown away by everything in it. This cast was fantastic throughout. The ensemble was great. The sets were fantastic, and how they did quick changes. I keep saying fantastic. So that's just my one-word description of this is fantastic. The sets were really neat, how they did the different transitions between each one. They made them look like their own thing, which is normal, what you do for sets in different rooms, obviously. But I really like the sets. It was really fun. They captured the diner set, was really cool. Jenna and her husband Earl's house, which Earl is one of, I went back and watched the 2007 movie. Earl, in that movie and in this, one of the worst guys ever. In the movie, he's a little more physically abusive. This one, he's just more controlling, manipulative, and he's almost physically abusive until she tells him she's pregnant. But in the movie, this motherfucker pulls up when he goes to pick her up, and he honks the car horn like 6 times as he's pulling up when she's sitting right there. If anyone does that to me, I'm going to lose my shit. Like, I can see you. There's not even a reason for 1 honk, let alone 6 honks. But they really want to drive home the point that this guy is the fucking worst. But she's in a loveless, shitty marriage. Jenna is. And so then we get the whole thing. She goes to her doctor. Drew Gelling plays Dr. Jim Pomatter in this. And he has such a unique... Charisma is not really the right word. A charming, awkward innocence is how he plays it a little bit. Innocence is also not really the right word since they have an affair. But he is very charming. He is awkward. He played that part so well. His emotion, his performance was awesome. The only complaint I had when I was sitting there in the theater is his voice, in my opinion, was not powerful enough to be paired and go up alongside Sara Bareilles. They have a couple songs together throughout it. I think one's called It Only Takes a Taste. Another, You Matter to Me. And they have Bad Idea. They've got a number of songs together. And his voice with hers, I didn't think it was powerful enough. This is my Jeremy Jordan bias. I'm like, I feel like Jeremy Jordan would have been really good in this role because he can do kind of the charming, awkward guy, play that really well. And then lo and behold, when I went home and looked, because I knew Jeremy Jordan sang some songs from Waitress. One of my hot takes before was that Jeremy Jordan singing She Used to Be Mine is a better performance than Sara Bareilles singing She Used to Be Mine. And that's from the album. Sara Bareilles on the album, Jeremy Jordan live on YouTube. And having seen Sara Bareilles perform it and do the whole musical thing, I will say she edged out Jeremy Jordan, but it is very close, and depending on the day, I could be swayed because Jeremy Jordan singing it is still one of my favorite things I've heard and listened to. But Jeremy Jordan did play Dr. Jim Pomatter, so that's great casting intuition by me. He did play Dr. Jim Pomatter for a while on Broadway with Shoshana Bean, played Jenna Hunterson. And there's a couple recordings they did on YouTube of Bad Idea and You Matter to Me that are fantastic. And if you listen, I think you will agree, especially on You Matter to Me, that Jeremy Jordan vocally crushes Drew Gelling. But Drew Gelling's performance was fantastic. I don't want to take anything away from that. Other standout to me was Christopher Fitzgerald, who plays Ogie, which is Dawn. He ends up being a boyfriend to Dawn, who is one of Jenna's colleagues, fellow waitress at the pie shop. His performance as Ogie, both the musical numbers he performed, the choreography, his tics, his performances, his spontaneous poetry. I couldn't think of spontaneous. I told you it's earlier in the morning, no coffee, don't judge me. It was so good. I wasn't expecting it. I was looking up Christopher Fitzgerald a little bit, and he did play Bach in Wicked. And I'm not positive if it was on the cast recording, but I thought his voice sounded familiar, and his mannerisms and stuff, would have been a perfect Bach. So shout out those people for their casting too. And I don't know. If you have the opportunity to see this, whether it's when it comes out on demand, I was debating releasing this early, but consistency is key to keeping viewers. So apologies, but hopefully you're listening to this in the morning. You make Down Once More the first thing you listen to on Wednesday. You get so excited when you get that notification a new episode's dropped. You listen to this and you're like, I may get tickets and go see that after work. Or hopefully they extend it longer. Like, there's not a ton of new stuff coming out in theaters right now. So by all means, keep this theater run going longer. Why not? That's what I think. After watching the movie, seeing the whole thing, I have gone and listened to the soundtrack a bit more. And I will say, in addition to She Used to Be Mine, which will always be one of my favorite ones, it's just completely heartbreaking and just such an emotional and powerful song. New favorites from this is You Will Still Be Mine, which kind of sucks because it's the song that Earl's singing and he's kind of being a controlling, manipulative douche canoe. But it's really catchy, and Sara Bareilles' vocals in the movie were great. It's Jessie Mueller on the cast recording, and Jessie Mueller has a fantastic voice, and she crushes all the songs too. Drew Gelling, who played Dr. Pomander in the movie, also was Dr. Pomander in the recording. So, fun fact there. So that will be the same. But, so, You Will Still Be Mine, and then Bad Idea, which is Jenna, Dr. Pomander singing, and then You Matter to Me, which is just it's both romantic, sad, heartbreaking, which is also similar to sad, and just very emotional, caring. I've said it before, maybe it says more about me. Well, it does say more about me because it's about me, that nothing really evokes emotion out of me like music, and especially in musicals where they're telling a story and you're getting to see that story played out. Like, that just really tugs on my heartstrings, and that's the stuff that gets me going. So I would highly recommend, even if you never saw the movie, because I hadn't seen the movie, I'd almost recommend not seeing the movie because it is almost identical. Like, there's more added to the musical, but lines of dialogue, like, there are so many word for word lines from the movie to the musical. Part of that is because the musical, like the book for it, was also written by Adrienne Shelley, who wrote and directed the movie and also played as Dawn in the movie. She also worked on the musical with Sara Bareilles then. So that's why you're seeing more, like, this is probably the most faithful movie to musical adaptation that I have seen. So shout out to them for that. Shout out to them for stepping their game up, and go see this if you get the chance. It is so good. I think it's awesome. People have been supporting it in theaters. I hope that train keeps rolling. Like I said, I hope this gets a digital release in some way, shape, or form, preferably available to purchase and rent, not just on Broadway HD. So, also another thing where I did watch the movie, Nathan Fillion played Dr. Pomander in the movie, which I didn't know at all. Like, I knew Kerry Russell was in the movie, but I didn't know Nathan Fillion was in it. I'm a huge Nathan Fillion fan. Like, Castle, so good, and just almost everything he's in, just so charming. He can do the awkwardness a little bit more, but I don't know. Drew Gelling's performance as Dr. Pomander, even though I love Nathan Fillion, the actual performance, Drew Gelling was better, in my opinion. So, I love Nathan Fillion. He is a fantastic actor, and I will watch pretty much anything he's in. But in a musical standpoint, Drew Gelling, better. Jeremy Jordan, ideal for the singing parts. So, go watch those performances on YouTube because they are so good. And go see this movie. And that's all I have. And that's going to do it for the mini episode today. We're keeping it short and sweet. Trying to actually keep a mini episode mini for once. Hope you're enjoying the podcast. We're getting ready to close out 2023 here soon. We're going to be going into our third year of doing this podcast, which is crazy. Love seeing the new subscribers, people engaging, interacting with the content. We love you all. Thank you all. Except those of you who are being trolls or sexist, we don't love you. Sorry. It's just how it is. But thank you all. Hope you are having a great December so far. Hopefully you get to have some fun, relaxing for the holiday seasons. But I'm going to give you a pro tip, a little bit of minor spoiler for the movie reviews next week. VHS Christmas Carol, 45 minutes long. Very enjoyable. Dr. Seuss's The Grinch musical. Maybe look into a drinking game if you're going to choose to watch that one. I'm sure there's one that exists, and it will probably make your watching experience a whole lot more pleasurable. That's all I'm going to say. So, That's coming out next week. Then there should be a mini episode the week after that. If not, with Christmas, holidays, everything like that in, we may have a week hiatus and then jump into our 2024 episodes. And the first musical movie coming out in 2024 is Mean Girls the Musical, which is coming out January 12th in theaters, with Renee Rapp as Regina George and so many other great people in it. So that should be awesome. We might even get to do that for our January movie review. So stay tuned. Follow us on Instagram. Like, comment, share the podcast. Thanks for tuning in. And don't forget to make time in this busy season to go down once more. Later.